What's going on, guys? Jay the Black here. Salute to everybody tuning in. I want to talk about Keri Hilson. Keri Hilson, singer, songwriter, is somebody that I've made numerous videos about, not a lot recently, but years ago. You know, I've been going through my catalog and I've been looking at a lot of the topics I've spoken about over the years, and I kind of feel like it's an incomplete. And when you look at Keri Hilson, a woman who's had a lot of potential over these years, struggle to find a relationship, and she's now at a point, even at 43 years old, where she's talking about how she's single by choice. Now, I also came across an article that was written about her interview with Cam Newton. And she said some very interesting things that get you in the mindset of a Western woman in 2026. Now, I believe this interview may have been done last year, but it still takes you into her mindset because apparently she is still cool with the guy that she dated years ago. This was before even Serge Ibaka. I mean, we'll get to that relationship too. According to her, she dated this guy from the time she was 17 to 28. And she's cool with them. She said that she's even cool with his wife. They're friends. But it seems like ever since then, she struggled in the relationship department. And I think that she's still holding a candle for him. I believe that. I believe that she's holding a candle for him. And I believe that she probably wishes that she was still with him. But he's moved on and she hasn't. Now, she's been in relationships after him, but it's very clear to me that she could possibly still have a thing for him, which is why she struggles. And I think she's not the only one. There's other women out here who date a man for well over 10 years. And when they break up, they struggle to move on because a part of them still wants to be with that person, but that person is long moved on. So what they do is they attach themselves to that man by putting themselves in the friend zone. How many of you guys are cool with your exes? Y'all can let me know in the comment section. How many of y'all are actually still cool with women you dated for like a long time? Because usually when those breakups happen, there is no closeness. You know, both people go in their directions and they're not really cool with each other. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but what I've noticed is that when exes who've been together for a long time become friends, only one of those people move on. And the other person still holds a candle. And it's very difficult for them to move on because they still envision themselves being with that person. So they attach themselves to that person in their new life. They become friends with the new woman, right? And that has to be tough for a woman's ego. To be with a man for 11 years, from the time you're 17 to 28, and then he moves on, gets with another woman and apparently marries this woman, and instead of you moving on, you not only stay friends with this person, you befriend his wife. Now, it's different if you have children with that person and you have to co-parent, so you have to get along with that person's spouse. But in this situation, they don't have any children together. I don't think she has kids. So why would she still try to attach herself to an ex who's moved on? Because again, when you see these situations where couples be together for a long time and they break up and stay friends, I've noticed that mainly only one of those people are able to truly move on, and the other person is still holding out hope. They're still in love with that person. So they try to attach themselves to their life. Now, I want to get to this article. I'm going to get to the excerpt that's important. Now, this was an article that was written by the Sports Rush, and it says the Carolina Panthers legend sat down with American songwriter Keri Hilson to discuss the Grammy nominee's controversial love life, where Hilson revealed that she is still in contact with both her ex-boyfriend and his wife, which is kind of weird. I'm telling you, it's weird because she ain't got nobody. So she's basically available to this guy if he didn't want to be with his wife. She said that she was in a relationship for 11 years, from 17 to 28. Says she was in that relationship. She says they were still tight. That was a genuine friendship, a genuine love. She said that she loves his wife. Says they are cool. They have a cool relationship. Says she loves their kids. So he had kids with this woman. And he says that that's still that. She says that they can all hang out. Says she can introduce him to whoever she sing. There's no issue. Well, Keri, you're not seeing anybody right now. You haven't, it seems like, for years. See, to the point to where you claim you're single by choice. Now let's go over her dating history, her public dating history a bit, so we can get much more of a picture. Now I'm going to go over people that have been confirmed and people who've been unconfirmed. Now we talked about the 11-year relationship she was in from the early 2000s to 2010. Apparently, at some point during that time, she was linked to rapper Lil Wayne. And then the next year, she was linked to rapper Soulja Boy. I guess she denies that. So she claims that didn't happen. So we're going to say that didn't happen. So these are just rumors. Now let's get to what's real. She dated former NBA player Serge Ibaka. They were together for 4 years. Now, Keri peacocked this relationship so much. Like what you see a lot of women do now, she did that with Serge Ibaka. They would dress up for Halloween. They were everywhere together. You would think that these two would get married to each other, but that did not happen. That did not happen. They were together for years, and I hardly doubt that they're friends. I don't think they're friends at all as of this point. But yeah, she did a lot media wise to show off this relationship, and it was giving Sierra Russell Wilson vibes before the ring. You know what I'm saying? But there were no kids involved. Again, in that situation, she didn't have any children with Serge. They were together for 4 years, and they were seemingly the it couple. You have this attractive singer songwriter Keri Hilson. She's with the African via Spain, right? African via Spain, Serge Ibaka, and people just thought that they were this perfect couple, and then they separate. Then she gets into a brief relationship with a former NFL player by the name of Ricardo Lockett. They were only together, I think, for less than a year. And then a couple of years later, she claimed she was single by choice, and she hasn't been with anybody since publicly. We haven't seen with anybody. Now, again, this interview she did with Cam Newton happened in 2025. Her last known public relationship was in 2016. So it's been about 10 years since her last public relationship. And then she does this interview with Cam Newton, and she goes into detail about how she still is in love. Not in love, but she's still friendly with her ex. Assuming her first love, right? But he moved on. And it's clear to me when you look at her dating history and the things that she's saying, she has not moved on. She hasn't. Now let's continue this article. It says, while the situation may be peaceful for Hilson and those in her immediate circles, Newton was quick to question how she was able to achieve such a state of romantic nirvana, and highlighting the fact that many people would be unable to maintain such a relationship with the next lover. The one-off New England Patriot found himself asking the same question as everyone else. How? So that's not prototypical. I don't think a lot of us are mature enough to have the talk. I don't think a lot of us are mature or even ready to be able to look outside of this person and say, I was deeply in love with this person. A part of me is still in love with this person, but I want what's best for that person, even if it's not me. The idea in and of itself is a bitter pill to swallow for many, but it's an unfortunate fact of love for all of the on-air antics that Newton has become known for in recent years. The episode ultimately suggests that Newton is staying true to his claims that he will forever be a work in progress. Blurring the lines between podcast and therapy session, the former gridiron gladiator admitted that this podcast in particular has allowed him to discover more of himself. Says, I'm not afraid to use my personal experiences just to show the world that I am flawed and that I am a work in progress. Sometimes it has helped me to cope, and sometimes it has also hurt me in personal situations. As a father of 5, the conversation certainly seemed to leave Newton with a lot to think about, given that he's been in no less than 7 relationships with various celebrities. Hilson's message of maturity and acceptance likely hit home. Well, I think it just shows you where women are these days, because I've seen women say that they don't want to be friends with their exes. When they break up with a man, they're done with that man. They want nothing to do with him, and they're eager to move on. I just think that she's still in love with this ex. People say it's all about maturity, but you have to look at that person's dating life. She's not with nobody. She's talking about being single by choice. Single by choice. You know, if a man said a man was single by choice, you know, men going their own way. MGTOW talks about being single by choice, and people think they're weirdos and incels. And they hate women, right? So when you hear women say that they're single by choice, do you actually believe that that is true? Especially a woman, even at 43, she's still an attractive woman. She posted a selfie that went viral of herself. Now there's some guys that probably thought that she's hitting the wall. There's other guys that feel like she looks good at 43. But I just think that she ain't the only one. It's a lot of these women who are attractive. They know they are attractive. They think they have 10, 20 years left to meet somebody. And women have to understand that the older you are as a woman, the less value you have with a man with money and resources. They're always gonna look for the younger thing. I saw a picture where actor Tobey Maguire was sitting with his 20-year-old girlfriend. He's 50. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's like this, distinguishably older looking guy. He's taking care of himself over the years, but he's still 50. And he has a 20-year-old girlfriend, and people are losing their mind. Well, certain people are losing their minds, right? But that's just the reality. Leonardo DiCaprio, he likes 20-something-year-old models. That's his thing. He's not looking for no 40, 50-something-year-old woman. And women better understand this. At some point, you have to move on. And it also seems to me to be that she's still in love with her ex, but she realizes that he's moved on and there's really nothing that she can do at this point, except for be his friend, I guess. So let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video, hype this video, share this video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, and I will see y'all next one.